At one time, you couldn't walk outside in this neighborhood without smelling the meat packaging district. A lot of that was thanks to one man, George Hammond. Born on May 5, 1838, Hammond became involved in the mattress business on the East Coast at a young age, eventually relocating to Detroit, where his enterprise expanded into furniture. After a fire destroyed most of his assets, he decided to enter the meat industry. Operating downtown, Hammond would eventually have a shop in Cadillac Square. In 1872, he went into business with J.B. Standish and S.B. Dixon to form Hammond, Standish and Company. Hammond would later purchase a patent from William Davis for an icebox on wheels that could keep meat cold while it was transported across the country. Shortly after, Hammond built a meat packaging facility south of Chicago. This position was close to one of the largest cities in the Midwest, was at the epicenter of the Midwestern Rail Hub, and was close enough to the Great Lakes to get ice for cooling his meats. The town that grew around the meat packaging facility is today known as Hammond, Indiana. It's the last city you pass through before getting to Chicago and the first one you reach when leaving town on the way back to Detroit. I rode my bike there once. It was alright. According to a 1965 Detroit Free Press article, George H. Hammond and Company had annual sales totaling $15 million in 1886, equivalent to over $500 million in today's money. Hammond died in late December 1886 and is buried at Elmwood Cemetery in Detroit. Today, he's better known for the building that bore his name downtown, Detroit's first skyscraper. George's wife, Ellen, completed the job after his death. At some point, Hammond had moved his Detroit shop and slaughterhouse to the corner of 20th and Standish. A few weeks before his death, the shop suffered an awful fire. It was rebuilt, but the company wouldn't continue independently much longer. According to the Detroit Historical Society, the National Packing Company acquired it by 1903. The Hammond Standish name persisted until at least the 1960s. The neighborhood had numerous slaughterhouses and meat packaging facilities, and Western Market anchored the neighborhood on Michigan Avenue. At some point after George H. Hammond and Company was sold, the behemoth facility at the corner of 20th and Standish was parted out to be used by various enterprises. By 1956, a company called K. Shapiro Incorporated was packaging meat at the facility. The corporation had existed since at least the 1920s. That same year, 25 cows escaped and had to be rounded up. One calf made it 2 whole miles away before being caught and returned to be killed. In May 1958, 50 more cows escaped, and it took 2 hours to get them corralled again. The state took a portion of the complex for owed back taxes in 1963, and part of the brick structure collapsed. That same year, Detroit Common Council ordered the demolition of the packing plant at 2101 20th because it was a fire hazard. In December 1967, it still stood, and State Rep James Del Rio sued the city of Detroit to have it torn down, but I'm not sure if it actually happened. On November 27, 1965, a 5-alarm blaze decimated a 6-story building at the corner of 20th and Standish. This may have been the same structure that was burnt a few weeks before Hammond's death, which was rebuilt. There were 29-mile-per-hour winds, and the fire department worried that the blaze could jump to nearby structures. The Detroit Free Press included a quote from Police Lieutenant Robert Moore stating that flames reached 90 feet in height. 125 firemen fought the blaze. Ironically, the Detroit Historical Society had an exhibit on the life and legacy of George Hammond running when the fire occurred. A week later, the Detroit Free Press ran a retrospective on Hammond and the fire, which initially only received a blip in the paper. I don't think any structures remained after the fire other than those that are still there today. In January 1968, K. Shapiro Inc., along with the Woolman and Michigan Hide Companies, proposed expanding their hide tanning complex at 2800 Standish, pictured here, which had survived the blaze. Residents of the neighborhood, many of whom were members of the Hubbard-Richard Community Council, were vehemently opposed to the plans. The group argued that the operation smelled awful and worried that expansion would lead to worse conditions in the neighborhood. They also reported that flies and rats had been running rampant in the neighborhood due to the operation already. The company suggested introducing an odor-free tanning process called brining and eliminating the stockyards, which they claimed were the source of the most objectionable odors. They also claimed that the parcels had been zoned for such activities for over 100 years, essentially asking, why change it now? Neighborhood groups suggested that the companies had ignored their previous requests to address the issues, so they did not have confidence that they would follow through this time. I haven't been able to determine whether the Common Council granted the company the right to expand its operations, but I'd guess the answer is no because there aren't any modern structures in sight. By this point, highways ripped through the neighborhood and things looked a lot different than when the meat packaging facility first opened. Topor's Pickle Company moved into the building by 1978. Harry Topor founded the company, and they produced 3,000 barrels of pickles, 250 pounds each, and tomatoes a year from their plant at 2800 Standish. Topor said when speaking with the Detroit Free Press, "If I had started sooner, I'd be Vlasic by now, but I'm content. It's a good living. It's not a $1 million business, but it is a good living. Pickles were good to me the last 18 to 20 years." The company still exists and is owned by E.W. Grauble and is located in Eastern Market. Topor died at 82 in 2000, and his obituary stated that he had been the owner of the pickle company for 40 years. At some point, Harry, or a relative named Larry, owned the structure pictured here through an LLC called K&JJJ, which was formed in 2008. The last annual statement for the LLC was in 2017. Harmony Plaza Inc. has owned the building since around 2015. The corporation's registered address is 1600 Clay Street, and the registered agent is Dennis Kefallinos, a restaurateur turned real estate investor. In 2017, a small fire occurred inside the structure. In recent years, Detroit City FC, a local soccer team, has acquired 2 large plots of land west of the existing building for its new stadium project, which is situated across the tracks at the former hospital. Kefallinos sold the hospital to the club, so I'm curious if he'll eventually sell this land to them too. I'm unsure what the future of this structure will look like, but I'd love to see it redeveloped into something that the neighborhood can utilize or as a part of the new stadium complex. It's an odd building, but a mixed-use development here could do bits considering the location to the new soccer stadium and Michigan Central Station. Either way, this one deserves to be saved.
If you enjoyed this, please throw a like on the video, drop a comment down below about what you think we should do with this building, and subscribe to the channel for a new video every Friday. If you've already subscribed and you want to continue supporting the channel, you can look in the description below to buy a t-shirt that I've designed or get a print from my print store. A huge thank you to everyone who supported me last week while I was going through some stuff. I really appreciate it. I'm feeling a lot better this week. Until next time, this building matters. Now I gotta get down.